Dr. McCutcheon is chairman of this event, and he's my pastor, and he knows me. He gave me one bit of instructions as I walked up here, is to be brief and be gone. I did think it was important that you meet some people who were very instrumental in making this an event. Some are here, some are not. First of all, to my good friend Brian Gumble, the host of today's show, who saw this as a national story more than a year ago and worked with our office in making it so. Brian couldn't be here, he was invited, and he did send a message. Reverend told me not to read it. There are some people who not only made this a national story, I got to call them Paris at 6 o'clock this morning. This day is an international story, as well as should. One of those persons who made that as much is here. I'd like to have you meet her. Lois Romano of the Washington Post. Will you please stand and be recognized? All of us met Scott Ellsworth 20 years ago, and quite frankly got sick of it. He wrote that first chronicle of the history of that ride in Death and the Promised Land. Not only did Scott come here for this occasion and others, he invited the New York Times into this gathering, and their story has met the international press. Scott Ellsworth, please stand and be recognized. Kids always tell me that grown folks don't know everything. And we certainly didn't know how to begin this project. This idea was brought to Senator Warner and Dr. Reed and myself by some youngsters from Colorado Middle School. Their principal, their art teacher, some of those students are here today. Will you please stand and be recognized? Colorado Middle School students and their principal and art teacher. Said it best. This story was a product of a conspiracy of silence, and had not been for our elders who tore it in our oral history over and over and over until Scott could document it in his book, it would have been lost to time, ignorance, and hatred. Some of those riots survivors are here. I've seen one of my mentors, Bob Fairchild. Bob, stand up, a riot survivor. George Michael. I've been told by my grandma, old folks, that no public apology has ever been made by a public official. I am a public official. And from my good office, I offer this formal and official apology to the African American community for the events of the Tulsa disaster, and I ask you for your prayers and your forgiveness. Please accept our apology on behalf of the state of Oklahoma and the city of Tulsa. Dr. McCutcheon, eyes be gone.